Now at 5:30, an assault lawsuit. A postal worker wants the NYPD to pay him some big money after officers were indicted for what he calls a wrongful arrest. Good evening, I'm Christine Johnson.
And welcome back, I'm Maurice Dubois. That postal employee, Karim Baker, is suing the force.
And looking for a $100 million apology from the NYPD. Here is CBS 2's Hazel Sanchez.
26-year-old Karim Baker says he feels police have been out to get him after he happened to give street directions to cop killer Ismail Brinsley back in 2014.
Going through like a life of terror, just in fear, living in fear.
Baker says in December 2014, Ismail Brinsley, a total stranger, approached him asking for directions to the Marcy houses in Brooklyn just before he went on to kill NYPD detectives Rafael Ramos and Wenjen Liu in that location. Baker, who held a press conference with his attorney today, says since that tragic day, police have seemingly been seeking revenge against him by harassing him and his family. He says the worst confrontation was in October of last year when he claims two NYPD detectives stopped him for an alleged parking violation and viciously beat him.
At that moment, I was just thinking, I want to live, I want to be here. I didn't do nothing but get in my car.
31-year-old Detective Angela Pimpena and 29-year-old Detective Robert Carbone are now charged with assaulting Baker on this Corona Queen Street. Baker says on October 21st, he was getting into his car on 96th Street after finishing his shift as a U.S. postal worker. He says the two plainclothes detectives in an unmarked car pulled up to him, asking for his identification, accusing him of parking too close to a fire hydrant. Baker says when he pointed out to the officers he was parked 20 feet away from the hydrant, an argument erupted, and he called 911.
Mr. Baker was then grabbed by the two officers and thrown onto the curb, where they proceeded to punch him with haymakers, stomp on his head, and kick him until additional officers showed up.
They beat on me, just like the first two officers did. And the only thing I could feel was just feeling like I was about to take my last breath.
Baker's attorney says a 911 call recording and surveillance video captured evidence of the alleged beating. The NYPD would not comment on this case, only saying the two detectives have been suspended without pay. If found guilty, those detectives could face 7 years in prison. Maurice.
Hazel, thank you.